Now let us see quantum numbers. Now first, before going to quantum numbers, we have to understand what is the need of quantum numbers. Just now only we have seen how electrons are revolving around the nucleus in different planes, different axes. So drawing a structure of atom by using quantum mechanical model is not possible, because it is a three-dimensional model where we have to use some simulations or computer to actually show how electrons are revolving. So then what is the best method to find out the electron's location? That is quantum numbers. Quantum numbers, in literal sense, you can say that is the actual address of electron. So where exactly electron is present, that can be understood just by knowing the quantum numbers. There are 4 quantum numbers. Let us list them and let us see their importance. The very first one is called as principal quantum number. Principal quantum number. So as name suggests, this is very important, denoted by n. Small letter n indicates principal quantum number. Even in earlier case, if you remember, n equal to 1, n equal to 2, n equal to 3, like that we have seen, that is shell number, actually orbit number. That is what we are here talking about, principal quantum number. So same, shell number is actually principal quantum number. Let us list out what are the important things here you can get from principal quantum number. Very first thing is it tells about shell number. It tells about shell number. If I am saying n equal to 2, that means electron is present in second shell. If I am talking about n equal to 3, then electron is present in third shell. Other than that, it also tells about energy of the electron. It also tells about energy of electron. Now, how we have seen the Bohr formula, that is energy is equal to minus 13.6 into z square divided by n square. Okay, where z is the atomic number of an element, where n stands for principal quantum number. So if you know the value of n, you can also get the value of energy. So this is what I said here. It also tells about energy. So apart from this, you can also get to know about total number of electrons. Total number of electrons present in that shell, in that orbit. How? By using the formula 2n square, where again n stands for principal quantum number. But remember, this is only applicable till n equal to 4. N equal to 4. You can only use this formula till n equal to 4, because after that you know that number of electrons will remain 32. So let us say if you know, otherwise let me just use one more point here. You can also get to know about number of orbitals present in that orbit. So in that particular shell, in that particular orbit, how many orbitals are present, that can also be found out just by using the formula n square. Okay, now let me just take an example here. So let's say I am saying n equal to 3. So what all data I got? One I got as electron present in third shell, and by using this formula I can put 3 as 3 square here and get the energy of the electron present in third shell. Total number of electrons, that is 2n square. So 2 into 3 square, that is 9. 2 into 9, so you can get 18 electrons present in that shell. Next number of orbitals present in that orbit, that is n square. So 3 square, that is 9. Now how come it is 9? So third shell, we know third shell contains 3s, 3p and 3d. So 3s contains 1 orbital, 3p contains 3 orbitals, px, py, pz, d contains 5. So 1 plus 3 plus 5 becomes 9. So this is what I am talking about here. Number of orbitals 9. So total orbitals. So after that principal quantum number, you can think of one more, second one, that is called as azimuthal quantum number, which is represented as small letter L. Remember the symbol that we use for different quantum numbers. This particular is also called as orbital quantum number. So some books says them as orbital quantum number. You can use the same symbol. Or sometimes it is also called as subsidiary quantum number. Subsidiary quantum number. So all the three are used for that. Single quantum number. Now what is a useful thing here? Now if you remember quantum atomic model, where you can get shell, inside shell you can think of subshell, inside subshell you can think of orbital, and inside orbital you can think of two electrons. This is how electrons are present inside the atom. So largely you can look at shell as a larger view. When you go deep inside that, you can find subshells. Like in the third shell we have seen subshell as 3s, 3p, 3d. Further if you go deeper, then even inside 3p you can go to 3px, 3py, 3pz. That means further you are going deep inside the subshell. That means in terms of you are going in terms of orbital now. Once you go inside the orbital, we know each box contains two electrons, and how they are different by their spins. So it is like you are literally seeing the address of an electron. If you think of shell as an India, if you are if you want to locate somebody, then the larger view will be India. Further we are going to a state, Maharashtra, then we are going to the province, Mumbai, then it is like going further smaller and smaller. It is like that. So shell is the larger view. Inside that subshell, inside that orbitals, inside orbital you find two electrons. So that means principal quantum number is telling about shell, then azimuthal quantum number will go further smaller. That means it will be telling us about subshell. It tells about subshell. So this tells about shell number, this will tell about subshell. Now how we have to label each subshell with azimuthal quantum number. That means when I say S subshell, because we know there are four subshells, S subshell, we know P subshell. Remember when I say subshell, I am talking about collective sense of them. Like P subshell, when I say I am talking about Px, Py, Pz collectively. D subshell, all the 5 orbitals collectively I am expressing here. Then F subshell. So we are going to label, we are going to denote some L values to them. For S subshell, we are going to consider L as 0. You have to remember this. We are just labeling S subshell as L equal to 0 here. L equal to 1, L equal to 2, L equal to 3. There is a deeper explanation for these values, but that is not in our syllabus. That is out of our scope. That's why we'll remember them like simply by hearting. That we are going to label S subshell as L equal to 0, P subshell as L equal to 1, D subshell as L equal to 2, and F subshell as L equal to 3. There is a deeper explanation for that, but we are not going to see that. That is not needed here. So after that, we know S subshell is spherical in manner, shape-wise spherical in nature. P subshell is dumbbell in nature. D subshell is double dumbbell in nature. And that of this is very difficult or complex, we can say. So what does that mean? Once you know the azimuthal quantum number L equal to 0, L equal to 1, L equal to 2 or L equal to 3, you will also get to know about shapes of the subshell. So that means another important thing that you will get here, it also tells about shapes of the subshell. So when I say S subshell, otherwise when I say L equal to 2, I am not only getting to know that the subshell is D subshell, I am also will get to know about double dumbbell shape of that. So apart from that, what all we can get from this, azimuthal quantum number also will help us to understand how many electrons are present in the particular subshell. For example, total number of electrons in subshell can be calculated by using the formula 2 into 2L plus 1. Now how? Think of a value of L for anything. Let us say L equal to, when I say 0, L equal to 0, I'll put the value L as 0, then it becomes 0. 1 will remain, 2 into 1, 2. So that means S subshell can occupy 2 electrons. That I will continue. If I put L value as 1, 2 into 1, that means 2. 2 plus 1, 3. 3 into 2, 6. That means I can say P subshell contains 6 electrons. L equal to 2 if I substitute, L equal to 2, then 2 into 2, 4. 4 plus 1, 5. 5 into 2 is 5. 5 into 2 is 10. So 10 electrons. 3. 2, 3 are 6. 6 plus 1, 7. 7 into 2 is 14 electrons. So that means 2 into 12 plus 1 is the formula. We know already that how much electrons they can accommodate, but this is the symbolic way. Formula wise also you can calculate. Remember, here we were talking about total number of electrons present in the orbit. Here I am saying number of electrons present in the subshell. So don't get confused. I am not saying about the same thing. When I say total number of electrons present in an orbit, that orbit may contain different subshells. So this will tell us collectively how many electrons are present. Here we are going to study number of electrons in a subshell. So particular subshell will contain how much electron that you can get. So along with this you can also get to know number of electrons, otherwise number of orbitals. Number of orbitals in a given subshell. So in a given subshell how many orbitals are present you can understand. So that is simply by using the formula 2L plus 1. So 2L plus 1, think of this, L equal to 1 if I substitute, 2 into 1 plus 3. So that means when I put L equal to 1, then P subshell will contain 3 orbitals. This you can get. Apart from that, you will get to know about something called as orbital angular momentum. Orbital angular momentum. We know electrons, if it is present in S subshell, its revolution is spherical in way. If it is in P subshell, its revolution is in dumbbell way along the axis. D double dumbbell. That means electrons revolution is different in different subshells. That's the reason why their angular momentum will also change as per in which subshell they are in. So if they are in S, then by using the formula square root of L into L plus 1 into h upon 2 pi. I think you can remember Bohr model where you have seen that angular momentum of an electron moving in a circular orbit can be calculated by using mvr equal to h upon 2 pi. So that is what he calculated in Bohr's model. Here we are going to have orbital angular momentum because the electron is no more moving in a circular way. So having an angular momentum for a shell is meaningless, because here within the shell also electrons revolve in different orbits, in different shape, in different way. Like if an electron present in 3s, then its movement is spherical. D, then it will be double dumbbell. So that's why we have to understand in terms of subshell rather than going in terms of shell. So this formula L into L plus 1 into h upon 2 pi can be used. And sometimes remember this h upon 2 pi is considered as h cross. So you can also write this as L into L plus 1 h cross. So where h cross nothing but h upon 2 pi only, because both are constant, so you can have a single constant by simply dividing the value of that. So h is Planck's constant there, so 2 pi value you know already. So ratio of two constants will be definitely a constant, so that's what it is written there. So you have to know about these different subshells, these two, information about these two quantum numbers. The third quantum number you are going to understand here is magnetic quantum number. Magnetic quantum number, so which is represented as M, and sometimes it is also written as MS. ML. Okay, you can use M or MS. Good. Next quantum number we can see magnetic quantum number, which is represented as M or ML sometimes. So both are for magnetic quantum number only. So as I told you, shell, subshell, now we have reached till orbital. So that means it will tell us about orbital. Now what are orbitals made up of, or how orbitals are different? If you look at P, 3p, if you see how they are different, let us see that. So one is 3px, 3py and 3pz. So that means each orbitals are oriented in different axes. One is in x-axis, y-axis and z-axis. So that means you are talking about different orbitals, nothing but you are talking about the orientation of electron inside the atom. Whether they are oriented in x-axis, whether they are oriented in y-axis, or are they in xy plane, are they in xz plane. That means you are talking about the orientation of electron. So same thing I will write here, that it tells about orientation of electron inside the atom. So I would have said that it tells about orbital, no problem, but we are knowing already orbitals means they are oriented in different axes. Tells about orientation of electron inside the atom or inside the space. So how we can get the values? The way we have got the values for this, here remember it depends on the value of L. That means magnetic quantum number depends on azimuthal quantum number. That means unless and until you don't know the value of L, you won't get the value of M. In short, we can say like that. Then if you know the value of L, then what happens? If value of L I consider as, let us say, in general L, then magnetic quantum number will change from minus L to plus L. So that means if I know the value of L as 1, then the M value will be minus 1, 0, plus 1. If the L value is taken as 2, then magnetic quantum number will be minus 2, minus 1, 0, plus 1, plus 2. In general, if I take it as L, then it will be changing from minus L to plus L. So I'll be writing that now. If L equal to 1, then M is magnetic quantum number minus 1, 0, plus 1. Now L equal to 1, nothing but P subshell. We know P subshell like this. So one as Px, another as Py and Pz. Look at, there are 3 different values for 3 different axes. So this minus 1 can be taken for this, 0 can be taken for this, and plus 1 can be taken for this. So how many orbitals are there? That many magnetic quantum numbers you can get. But remember, as I told you, we don't have the option of writing X, though we have a habit of writing X, Y, Z in the order. But the first orbit needs not be X all the time. That can be Y or that can be Z, because in electrons perspective, all these 3 orbitals are equally approachable. Similarly, don't consider Px magnetic quantum number as minus 1. There is nothing like that. So what has to be remembered here, there are 3 orbitals and there are 3 magnetic quantum numbers for them. So there is no proper direction that the first orbital has to be minus 1, second orbital has to be 0, and third orbital has to be plus 1. There is nothing like that. So there is no order followed here. You can say one thing like this: if the value of L is 1, then magnetic quantum number varies from minus 1 to plus 1. So you can at least say like this, that if L equal to 1, then magnetic quantum number cannot be more than plus 1 or cannot be less than minus 1. You cannot have magnetic quantum number as minus 2 if the L value is 1. That you can say. But you don't have option to say that the first one has to be minus 1. There is nothing like that. But if you fix first one as minus 1, then the other 2 may not be having minus 1. Then other 2 you have to choose out of 0 and plus 1. So that is like that. If you fix one magnetic quantum number to a particular orbital, then the other two may not be having that. So individual orbital will be having separate magnetic quantum numbers, but which magnetic quantum number for what, that cannot be said. So these three will have these three magnetic quantum number, that we can say. There is no order. So remember this. So that is how we are going inside the orbital. So when I go to shell, under shell I can go to 3p, under 3p I can go to px, py, pz. Now the electron revolving in different orbits are orbitals are having different orientation. For example, electron present in pz is oriented in z-axis. Electron present in x is oriented in x-axis. Px is oriented in x-axis. So that means they will have a separate magnetic quantum number. So remember, shell, this tells about shell, this tells about subshell, this will go further, that is suborbital. So you have to remember these three quantum numbers. Along with this, you have to also know that how I said magnetic quantum number is dependent on azimuthal quantum number. Similarly, azimuthal quantum number also depends on principal quantum number. It cannot have any random value of L. So that I will write here. If n equal to, n means I am talking about principal quantum number, let us say in general n, then L can be starting from 0, 1, will go till n minus 1. That means you cannot have azimuthal quantum number more than n minus 1. For example, if I talk about n equal to, let us say 1, otherwise let me go for n equal to, let us say 2. Then what are the possible L values? You have to start from 0. I can start 0 and I can go only till n minus 1. If n is 2, then I can only go till 1. That means possible L values are 0 and 1 when n equal to 2. Otherwise, in general, you can have any L values, but when a specific question is given, like the n value cannot be more than 2, then L value cannot be more than 1. So that is what you have to remember. This is how azimuthal quantum number dependent on principal quantum number. Now n equal to 2 is second shell. N equal to 2 is second shell. That means what? Second shell can have 2s and 2p only. So we already seen L equal to 0 for s. That means this is L equal to 0 and L equal to 1 for p. So this is what 2p is. So this is for L equal to 1. So that is how it is said that only 0 and 1. So in second shell you cannot expect L equal to 3 or L equal to 2 also for that matter, because second shell only contains 2 subshells. So this is how you have to remember. Magnetic quantum number depends on azimuthal quantum number. Azimuthal quantum number depends on principal quantum number. But when separately given like this, when they say that L equal to 3, now can you predict the principal quantum number? You can't. You can't fix that. You have to start that from here only. Let us say when I say n equal to 4, then I can fix up L values, that is 0, 1, 2 and 3. I can go till here. And m I can say, but I need to say m separately for all these possible L values. For example, let us say L is equal to 1, then how I have written. Similarly, I need to write L is equal to 0 means there will be m values, separate m values. L equal to 1, there will be. Now let us see last fourth quantum number, that is spin quantum number. So remember, first three quantum numbers are explained by Schrödinger. So fourth one is not explained by Schrödinger. So remember that the first three are actually the quantum numbers. This is like you can say added later. So spin quantum number. Now why we have to understand this? Before that you have to know what does it tell. It tells about spin or rotation, spin of the electron. Okay, it tells about spin of the electron. So possible s values, so denoted by s. So possible s values are plus half or minus half. So spin of the electron, if the question is like this, spin of the electron is simply 1 by 2. So spin does not have any charge or sign for that matter. But plus or minus here indicates the rotation or direction of the rotation. For example, if I consider one orbital, so I need to write 2 electrons with opposite spin. So in this case, if I consider this is having, let us say, plus half spin, then this has to have minus half. Or if I am talking about this as minus half, then this must contain plus half. So for that purpose, this plus and minus used, not as they are as a opposite directions, not as a actual sign of the spin. So spin of electron does not have any sign, so that is simply 1 by 2. So remember that. Even spin of proton also 1 by 2. So spin of electron is 1 by 2. There is no sign. This sign is for just for the understanding of their opposite rotations. So you can consider the upside arrow as plus half or minus half. But if you consider upside arrow electron as plus half, then you have to consider downside as minus half, or vice versa. Both are okay. So this is what spin quantum number. So now look at this. When I say n, then shell, then L subshell, thereafter I'll go to M, that is orbital, different orbital, thereafter I'll go for spin. Now remember, M is sometimes it is also represented as ML, or S is sometimes represented as MS. So in some books it is written as MS, so you just remember that. So when I say, let us say 2p, when I say 2p orbital, now you have to know how to write the 4 quantum numbers for this particular orbital. Now remember, this particular 2 indicates principal quantum number. This p will tell us azimuthal quantum number. Once you get to know about that, m can be easily found out from L. So here 2, that means n equal to 2, second shell. P means L equal to 1, because we have already labeled each subshell as some L values. Once you get the value of L, we know ML or M changes as per the L value, that is -1, 0 and +1. So S or MS can be calculated. So this may be having electrons having spin plus half or minus half, we don't know. See, we are only knowing this much, so this may be like this: 2px, 2py and 2pz. So for all the 3 orbitals, n won't change. For all the 3 orbitals, L won't change. But all the 3 orbitals, ML can change. If you are talking about electron present in 2px, then only one of them is possible. Electron may be present here also, then any one of them is possible. That's why we have to write all possible values. But here we are not writing all the possible values, because when we say 2p, then L and N are fixed. But ML and S are not fixed, because electron can be present in any